Hey everyone, it's Chrissy TNT, and as a small creator, especially as someone who does, well, a little bit of everything like my header says, because artist, author, and everything in between, especially with how the channel has been dipping and I've been attempting to save it, it's got me thinking of something I remember hearing growing up from a teacher. Like, it wasn't one of my teachers, but it was back in elementary school, and it was my class and I think like two other classes lumped together in one classroom. And we were all asked what we wanted to be when we grew up, and usually you are told when you can be anything when you grow up. And every answer I gave, because they circled around to me multiple times, every answer I gave was too difficult. I remember that. Because I remember first round, they asked me what I wanted to be when I grew up. I said artist. They told me that was too difficult. Second round, writer. Again, too difficult. Third round, musician or a singer. They told me that was literally one of the hardest things to get into. Granted, it was the 90s. So yeah, no, I get that. That was difficult at the time. But also not impossible. Meanwhile, other kids were saying firefighter, astronaut, literally one of the hardest things to do, sending someone to space, one of the most difficult things to train for. They were fine with that answer. Everyone else's answer was correct, except for mine. And I'm granted, I am proud of myself for recognizing that it was more of a pattern and not necessarily my answers actually being wrong, because if it were wrong, why would we say you could be whatever you want when you grow up to a kid? And I recognize that no one else was saying my answers. No one else was saying like creative fields. So my answers weren't what they were looking for. And I remember just listening to everyone else's answers on the next loop and just panic choosing lawyer. And the teacher was fine with that because it wasn't a creative field. And I'm glad I didn't listen to her. And I did become an artist and an author. And I am currently working on tracks for games I'm working on in the background as a solo dev. Nothing crazy, just a lot of 2D stuff. But I am working on music for that. And I I'm pretty darn sure that if I had not caught on to that, my next answer probably would have been actress. Even though I hate being the center of attention, a little ironic considering the fact that I have a channel and I am talking to you guys. But at the same time, I am pretty sure had I not caught on to that, I would have said actress. But with everything that's been going on with my channel, it's got me thinking back to, well, being told it's too difficult. Because, especially as a smaller creator, I'm not exactly a big creator. I'm not like big YouTuber level of content creator fame or subscriber count or following on any platform. The closest I got was my very first TikTok profile, which I ended up having to delete and start over on the platform because I was getting an influx of spam bots after helping prevent something that was happening on the platform, because I had a feeling something would happen. Because this was, okay, long story short, back on TikTok in 20, I think it was 2019, when they had just introduced stitching. I had gotten to around 26K followers on there. That was the largest amount of followers I had on any platform. I had gained that organically. And me and a bunch of other roughly similar following sized accounts were trying to contain an issue that was happening on the platform to the platform and trying to help shut that down before like news outlets and everything got a hold of it, because that was around the first time TikTok was supposed to be banned, or that was the first time the threat of a ban was going on. Let's say that. But let's just say that an anonymous group of people, I still don't know who these people were, but an anonymous group of people were taking a rather dark, real video of someone doing something not good and splicing it into otherwise innocent videos through the Stitch feature. And me and a handful of other 20-something K follower accounts were warning people what to look out for, to report the videos, helping anyone who had seen the video in question, and just directing them to different helplines and places where they could talk to people that are better equipped to deal with seeing something that traumatic. Especially since a lot of those users were very young, and a lot of the users and content creators that were my size at the time, the 20 something K follower size, we were all roughly the same age. So young adults. But after that, I had a feeling something would probably happen, but I didn't expect the backlash to be an influx of spam bots being sent my way, because you can unfortunately do that. And it just became a daily thing of bot follower after bot follower after bot follower, and my profile mostly became updates on that situation, and it didn't feel fair to my following, and TikTok didn't do anything at the time, and their best advice was just block people, which I was already doing, because there was no one source for this. So I ditched that. So I created another profile. Whoever decided to follow me there, followed me there, and that was the last time I ever had 20-something K followers, because I eventually had to set the original one to private to manually deal with it. Because again, TikTok didn't do anything, didn't want to do anything, and couldn't do anything for the most part, because there was, again, no real source of it. But that was the last time I ever had organically grown a following of that size. But back to what I was trying to say. Again, that's the only profile I've ever had that's even been remotely close to being a big influencer account. Now that I'm really trying to get back into, or just not even get back into, now I'm trying to save this channel while also working on my shops, my books. I'm trying to work on games in the background, which are going very slowly because I am a solo dev. I'm doing everything myself. I'm trying to get commissions and find a job. There's part of me that can't help but hear that teacher's voice in the back of my mind. I don't even remember her name, but I just remember that moment so vividly, because while I never aimed to be a famous artist or a famous writer or a famous musician, I just wanted to do the things I enjoyed and hopefully make something from it. I always figured if fame happened, fame happened. That would be a fun bonus. But especially with the struggle of trying to save this channel, part of me really is just constantly hearing it's too difficult. That's literally the most difficult thing to do. Especially now that I'm trying to change direction on some things and try to fix some things to potentially work better. Like with my art, I'm planning on revamping my portfolio page on my hub site and possibly thinking of bringing it back as its own little shop and making things to sell, while also running my TeePublic, my fourth wall now, my Threadless, just to see what works, because I'm still making art for that too. Because even though it's print on demand, I make the art. I am drawing all of that by hand. It may be digital art, but I'm still doing that myself. And especially with my books, I am my own team. I am a self-published indie author. by all means, I do it all myself. I write, I edit, I format, I do all of that myself. And I get on my own butt about that to make sure everything is as good as I could possibly make it as one person. And again, I can't with just how everything feels like it's going like in waves almost, like not even necessarily a roller coaster. It's just almost like almost like a tide coming in and out. Like there are good days and then it goes back out to it feels like everything's going downhill again and then it comes back in on some days and it's just like, oh, things are looking hopeful and then just back out. And with how quickly that tide shifts, it's kind of making me wonder if some of it's even worth continuing to pursue or whether I should just temporarily shelf one thing to focus on another. And it really does make me wonder, is it too difficult? Is what I'm trying to do too difficult? But then there's that little voice in my head that's just like, is it? Because if it was too difficult, I wouldn't be doing it. If it was too difficult, I wouldn't be trying. Because clearly it's not impossible. I have become an artist. I've done a handful of commissions in the past. I literally have shops where I am selling my art on things that while I am not necessarily making the shirts and the physical products myself, I am making the art that goes on those things myself. I have done an art show in a sense that was more like an artist alley, but wasn't really informed that it was at the time because it was 2018 and they didn't have their What is Raw page because I was invited to a Raw Natural Born Artist show back in 2018. I made a whole video reflecting on that on my art channel, shorter than the easel. Check it out. But I I've become an artist. I've been an artist, and as far as like writing goes, I have a book. I have two books. I have a poetry book and my horror short anthology. I'm working on multiple other books. I'm working on two different thrillers and a fantasy novel. And again, as far as music goes, well, granted, I sing for fun all the time, but while I may not have like vocal songs, again, I'm working on music for a video game. Like I'm working on a video game. Like what 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 part of that is impossible? It's like what part of that is too hard to the point where I can't do it. So is it too difficult? No. I mean, it's difficult, yeah. The things I'm trying to pursue aren't easy. They take time and persistence and effort and just not even necessarily consistency, just again, going back to that persistence. Just nevertheless, she persisted. And like I wouldn't be able to hold, hang on. I wouldn't be able to hold this Dark Pine Tales of Terror. You can get it on Barnes& and Noble and Amazon. Also, I'm pretty sure, what was it, Better World Books and Thrift Books, if I remember correctly. But this, I wouldn't be able to hold this if it was too difficult to make. I wouldn't. I made this. I did this myself. Like, that's me. That is my face. That that is my face. And I wouldn't be working on another book. Like this is an edit copy of my fantasy novel. Granted, not complete because I wanted to have a physical copy to read through because I got stuck on a spot and again I am my only my only team member. Hi. So I wanted to read through it. But again, I did this. I'm doing this. I am making this happen. And I couldn't do that if it were too difficult. It's like, yes, it is difficult, but it's not impossible. And in this day and age, especially with the rise of AI and especially generative AI, I know this is taking a shift to talk about AI because you know my thoughts on AI. I don't necessarily have beef with the technology, but its abuse is what I have beef with. But especially in the day and age of AI, where If something seems too difficult, people tend to turn to that to do the work for them. I feel like moving forward, it's not like, yes, it's difficult, but it's not impossible. I feel like that should probably be the mindset. Yes, it's difficult, but it's not impossible. Like, it's very, you can do it if you try, but you can still do it. Like, you are still able to make it happen. So, I guess moral of the video, because I kind of just made this on a whim. Whatever you want to pursue, whether it's writing, art, music, whatever, don't let anyone ever tell you it's too difficult or it's too challenging. Because if it were too difficult and too challenging to do, it would be impossible to do, and no one would do it. Yes, it may be difficult what you are trying to do, but it's not impossible. So yeah, again, Dark Pine Tales of Terror. Because why not shill my book while I'm at here? Well, while I'm at here, while I'm on the topic of things that seemed impossible but aren't, because I made this. I made this. I edited it. I made that cover. I illustrated this. I did that. I did all of the little illustrations. These are all the illustrations at the start of each story. I did that. I even did that. Available on Amazon, Barnes& and Noble, a lot of places you can get books online. I don't think it's in store for Barnes& and Noble, but you might be able to order in store. I don't know. But last time I checked, if it's not, I will add text somewhere to correct myself. But it should still be on Barnes& and Noble's website. Also, speaking of writing, I do also have a short story up on Itch.io that's linked in the description. It's on the list of links in the tap link because I have added the tap link to the descriptions just to make it easier if I ever remove links. I don't have to go through every video description again because been there, done that. It's not fun. So links to every way to support me are down below. Don't forget to check out my shops because I finally got one of my shirts in. I got my TeePublic shirt. Granted, I need to take the sleeves up because it's a little low for my comfort, but I did get the Swamp Girl tank top. Hang on. Again, for my TeePublic. Swamp Girl Summer. Swamp Girl Summer. Hang on. Let me see if I can give you guys a better look at this. Swamp Girl Summer. Yeah. Hand drawn and lettered by me. Look at that. Look at that. Hang on. Yeah. Yeah. I did that. I did that. So, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, leave a comment, turn the notifications on because I don't have a schedule. And I will see you guys in the next video, whenever that is, because I do have more things I want to talk about.